This is a luminance filter. It is the filter that is used by us monochrome camera users, i.e. black and white cameras, to simply bring in all the light that we need, which creates the sharpness of a color photograph. Now, I live in a highly light polluted area, so I was wondering, can I use another filter, one that is actually specialized in dealing with light pollution, as a luminance filter instead? So this is the L-Pro. This filter is a specialized and very popular light pollution filter used by astrophotographers with color cameras to block out unwanted light. So if I replace my luminance filter with this a little bit more reflective, as you can see, light pollution filter, will there be a difference in the results? Will there be better results from my Bortle 9 highly light polluted area using monochrome cameras with the L-Pro as a luminance filter? Or is it simply just for me to continue with the L filter? Also, I have some very exciting news, so do stay tuned. I will tell you all about that a little bit later. Yeah, very happy about that. So the L-Pro filter is a light pollution filter. It's a very popular one used by many astrophotographers, and I do wonder if this is going to help me out by using this in my Bortle 9 area. Let's put these into the filter wheel and let's find out. Alright, so here is my filter wheel, and as you can see, there's one slot missing there. It's the luminance filter. So I will actually put the luminance filter back in its place and just screw it back on there where it should be. And I will then replace the sulfur filter, I think, which is this one here. This one will be in the, I will have the L-Pro in there instead. And then simply put the lid on, put it back into the telescope, and let me make it work and see what kind of results I will get. I will photograph the same target or the same targets with both the L and the L-Pro filter and compare these two later on. I'm going to use my TS Optics TS115 for this experiment. It's an 800mm f7 with the reducer, making it a 630mm f5.6. So it's a fairly fast scope with kind of good reach, and I am really loving this telescope. I have done a few sessions with both the L and the L-Pro filter for luminance on my monochrome camera, and I have the results right here in the computer. So let's go through them together and see what you guys think, because honestly the results are a bit unconclusive. So let's dive into the computer and have a look. So what we have here is PixInsight, and I've only pulled up the screen transfer function here so we can do a rough stretch on the data and have a look at it. So what we have here is a sub of the L-Pro, and then we have a single sub on the luminance, and yeah, this one is outstretched like so. So immediately the first thing that I see here is that the L-Pro filter at 3 minutes is darker than the L filter at 3 minutes. And that's of course expected. The L-Pro is for light pollution and will reduce the amount of light coming in. But if we do an auto stretch on this one, just a simple ugly stretch, we can see that the difference is not that huge. This is just a single sub, but it still looks a bit cleaner on the L-Pro side when looking at the background. These are without calibrations, so you will have dust spots and vignetting on them. But for the sake of this experiment, I chose not to take calibration frames on the first images that we will be looking at. So if we zoom in on the area of interest for one sub, which is the galaxy itself, and try to go in the almost the same cropping for the other picture, we can clearly see here that the data that came in from the luminance here on the right is way better than the luminance from the L-Pro. I mean, there's much more data on a single sub, and well, it's just simply better. I mean, you can't see any details on a 3-minute sub for the L-Pro the way that you can see on a 3-minute sub on the luminance filter. So a bit surprised that this was such a huge difference, honestly. And I was a little bit ready to kind of give up on the experiment when I saw these things. But a few days later, I came up with the idea that maybe I can take longer exposure times with the L-Pro, because the L-Pro doesn't collect as much light as the L. So what happens if I use the L-Pro on 5 minutes instead of 3 minutes? So I did just that and ended up with this sub. This is a single 3-minute sub, and if we just zoom out, you can see that it's brighter. Of course, this is 5 minutes and this is 3 minutes to the right, but it's not very bright. I am very brighter. It's not that much brighter than the L. And if we again just zoom in the area of interest, which is the galaxy itself, this is a single sub for the luminance and the single sub for the L-Pro, we can now see something else. We can see, I don't know if this comes across on video, but I can clearly see way more details on the L-Pro here. The contrast is much better, it's greater than the contrast on this one. Granted, the sky is darker on the L filter, but I mean, just look at the details that comes out of these arms here. They are simply not as prominent and as contrasty as the L-Pro. Even the stars are actually a bit smaller. So this raised another question: was the focus correct on the luminance filter? Was the EAF, did the EAF do a good job setting focus on the luminance, and did it maybe got a little bit better focus on the luminance on the L-Pro than it did on the L filter? Not sure at this point, but we can see more details on the L-Pro. The contrast is better, but the fainter areas are still a bit more visible on the L filter. So a little bit unconclusive, and I'm not really sure about the focus on the L filter as well. So I need more data, or I needed more data, and that's what I got. I took the same amount of data from the L-Pro, same amount of integration time, not the same amount of stacks, because the L-Pro has 5-minute stacks and this one has 3-minute stacks. Nevertheless, I stacked them together and I ended up with these two results. Now to the left, again, the brighter one is the L-Pro filter with 5-minute subs, and to the right you have the L filter with 3-minute subs, so it is darker. Doesn't matter, when I do an auto stretch I get this one on the L filter. Now you can clearly see what I'm struggling with on a Bortle 9 Sky, and if I do the same thing on the L Pro I get this. Now this is a huge difference to me. I mean, you can still see the imperfections of the filters, the image train. You can see the dust spots and you can see vignetting, but you see that the sky looks way cleaner than what it does on the L filter. And that just, to me, immediately feels like a great success for this experiment. But let's zoom in again on the area of interest and have a closer look on the galaxy itself, because I usually tend to crop away a lot of the background sky anyways. And I see this. Now I hope this comes across on the video, because the detail on the L Pro on the left is again much sharper. It is pin sharp. The stars are small. I can see a lot of detail. I can see kind of dust lanes in the galaxy here that I simply cannot see in the same way on the luminance filter. This one looks blurrier. I mean, it looks like washed out somehow, and the L Pro doesn't have that. But again, I am not sure about the focus, if the focus was correct on the L filter. Don't see why it shouldn't, but still that's like a potential source of error for this experiment. But at this point, I would gladly just use the L Pro for my luminance in my Bortle 9 area, and I would opt in for 5-minute exposures instead of 3-minute exposures. So this is extremely cool, and you can also see that the fainter areas are still prominent on the L Pro filter, so the stars are smaller, and it's simply not that much of a difference. A little bit more noise can easily be remedied by noise extermination. So at this point, I am really feeling that the L Pro is a bit better than the L for me in my Bortle 9 area. But for the sake of the experiment and the focus issue, I spent 2 additional nights collecting data on a totally different target. This one is not a galaxy, it is something containing a bit more dust, which is the Cocoon Nebula. So again, this is roughly 3 hours and 20 minutes of data on each one of them. 3 hours and 12 minutes on the L, 3 hours and 20 minutes on the L Pro, and this one is a bit different. The L Pro actually got darker on this stack, which is kind of exciting. I don't understand really why, but that happened. But let's do a quick auto stretch on the luminance. And oh yeah, one more thing, these are actually calibrated. Maybe that's why it's darker. I used flats and darks and bias on these ones. So these are not just out of the box. These are calibrated as well. So, but you can see that the L Pro here is darker. It is kind of more better contrasty. I have something weird going on here with some kind of bow here. Like, let's have a look at it here. Doesn't exist here, so I think I've had some problems with my calibration files here. Some flats are kind of overcompensating here somehow, or it might be a reflection from a neighboring window as well that created this one. But still, if we go to an area that doesn't have that, let's simply look at some dust lane here. Again, the contrast, the L-Pro is darker. I don't really see the same problem as I did with the M51, the Galaxy image. So I am a bit leaning towards bad focus on the Galaxy itself. But I can see that the stars are a bit sharper on the L-Pro here anyway. So not really sure. Let's have a look at the nebulosity itself. This is the Cocoon Nebula on the L-Pro here, and let's see what the L has. And there we go. We can pretty quickly see, I hope that comes across on the video, that the contrast is much better on the L-Pro. If we look at this particular area around here, you can see more details here. There are prominent lines and with separation towards the background that is simply not existing in this area here. This one is darker, more contrasty, smaller stars, and have more detail than the L filter. So I think that, or I'm pretty sure that I'll be using my L-Pro as my luminance from my Bortle 9 area. And hopefully this might have convinced you guys to do the same. Now, what's left here, of course, is to combine the RGB data for these two images to get, or for these two luminance filters to get the right RGB photo for this particular target. I actually chose to use both the L-Pro and the L on this photograph. I felt a little bit greedy, perhaps, that 6 hours of luminance is better than 3 hours of luminance. For the sake of the experiment, L versus L-Pro, I felt that only two separate luminance data will do the trick to know just enough of what's happening and what's not happening. But yeah, L-Pro for the win on this one. I'm also a bit curious on what stronger filters like ultra high contrast filters could do for the luminance as well. But for me on a Bortle 9 area and doing LRGB photography, which I really don't do that much, this is way better. Yeah, so final image coming up, and if you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, and if you want to see more of my astrophotography content, don't forget to subscribe, and do write me your experiences with the L versus L-Pro filter in light polluted areas, if you have any. I'm really curious to hear about your experience on this particular field of work. But yeah, enjoy the image of the Cocoon Nebula C19 from a Bortle 9 area using both L and L-Pro filters. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.